knocked over one of my cameras. Hold on just a second. Oh, wait. I completely forgot where I was. I was supposed to keep that going and do this. Hold on just a second. I have managed to mess up everything at the last moment. This is a historic amount of mess ups, but hold on. I have to figure out how to plug my remote back in, or I can't control the show. That'd be ridiculous. So hold on. Just hum to yourself for a moment. Okay, I have.
And here's what I think of Trump's
nice.
wall.
I heard that. I didn't hear the Cobra sound alert, and now all of a sudden my little remote isn't working. Hold on. I'm gonna figure out how to sit and have my microphone so I can work on this while talking to you all. This is not how the show was supposed to start, but this is how it did start, and these are the things we have to live with. Oh, here we go. Yes, I have rebooted. My little remote control is back in play. Yeah, okay. Had to make sure those buttons are all making sense to me. It is ridiculously. And Soy Teresa says, we love plot twists because it's Dafu. Absolutely, 100% it is. And we are here. The episode has officially started. I don't know if you guys could tell, but I had a fancy thing planned. Hold on. I can't figure out how to do this and keep my mic going. I just have to put it... Hold on. Now I'm free. Okay. I don't know if you guys could tell, but at the intro... Golly, I have so many wires on me. Here we go. I am completely untethered now. On the intro, I had the camera that was close up on the keyboard where I was playing and things like this. And then it was supposed to come to this camera, and I had a button to activate a green screen effect, and I was going to have that green poster board. And where the green poster board was, you were going to be able to see through to that camera where the intro camera on the keyboards was. It was going to be beautiful, but I knocked over the camera before I got to the green screen element. It was a whole thing. And now and now I've lost my index cards, but they were close by, so it's not that big of a catastrophe. Soy Treese in the chat says she likes my shirt. I like this one too. It's a bit tight. I don't know, but I like the pattern. I like the multi-colors. It's very, the type of thing that I'm into. Now, okay, I did have a rhyme to introduce the beat, but I already played the beat. I was going to say something about it's been many years since there battles were done. Let's talk about Buffalo Soldiers in episode 61. It was going to be something like this. It was going to be very similar to that. I guarantee you it would have been quite similar. But we're here. It's episode 61. We're here to talk about Buffalo Soldiers. I have little knowledge about Buffalo Soldiers. I've been reading a lot this week in preparation, but my knowledge was very low at the beginning, and it's been fun to read about. I actually have here that there is something I have to get to before we get into all of this. I just have to figure out which button it is. Oh, here it is. It's the button that says oops. Okay. Yep. Alright. It is the return of the famous apology screen. I have an apology to make right off the bat here on episode 61. Last episode, I said something to the effect of they're neither animal nor mineral. Ladies and gentlemen, it's the Dogtree General. And that was completely wrong because animal is one of them. I should have said neither plant nor mineral. It's the Dogtree General, not Dog Street. Although, I wonder if the Dogtree General has a cousin, the Dog Street General. Could be. Yeah, okay, so that's the apology I wanted to get out of the way. And actually, if I remember the way I wrote my cards out, yeah, there is another apology, but this one isn't from me. And a big thanks to producer Nico, who let me know that we overlooked a grave typo last week on the show. It mentioned Governor Bill Richardson, and it spelled his name B-I-I-L. 2 I's instead of 2 L's. It's kind of hard to even... my throat. It's hard to even imagine what would lead somebody to make such a catastrophic mistake, so I would just like to say, if anybody from... Gosh, I should have gotten water. If anybody from the current Argus wants to come on, we have an apology screen already. It's good to go, and I highly recommend it. I think... yeah, I'm gonna skip that one. I don't always agree with the directives that I lay out for myself earlier in the day. I get late in the day, it's relaxed time, and I'm not as into it. So, but I will say the Boo Zoo. That is open for business as always, and does anybody... I don't know who's here in the chat. Soy Teresa is. Does anybody have a recommendation of somebody to put into the Boo Zoo? I would love to do that. We have the physical Boo Zoo list now. Right now we have Myrtle Beach, the Carlsbad Tavern, Dave Kemp, People Who Doubt, M. Nos. Wait, what's his name? That's not his initials. Doc Nos. I forget his initials. That's disrespectful of me. I would say I'm going to have to apologize, but I don't want to jump right into another apology. I want to marinate on how messed up it was that I could not remember Nos's initials. That is disgusting. But this episode is off to a great start. And this episode actually takes place, well, depending on where you are on the East Coast, this started on Monday. And depending on where you are, this episode might stretch into Monday. And Monday will be a year since episode 9 of Caveman News was on February 17th of last year. and we discussed cryptids. And that's where we met the legend of the show, Big Steve. And I have a little clip to play of that episode. It's here under the... Yes, here we go.
But I'm in the middle of the desert. Pitch black. The moon is not up. So as I'm driving, I notice, and it was quick, from the left side or passenger side of my window.
Okay, the left side.
Going this way.
That would be the right.
Across my windshield. But it wasn't like right in front of my vehicle that I was driving, but we'll just say the headlights of my vehicle.
I'm just going to pause it. Hang on. Let's see if I can get in camera. I wanted to just play the Big Steve cryptid story video because I really loved encountering that last year. That was a great video that I watched over and over. But unfortunately, I think Big Steve took it off of his channel. I don't think it's up there anymore. So I can't find the raw account of his cryptid encounter. All I can find is this version with me talking shit over it, and I annoy myself. I wish there was I wish I would have shut up and let him talk more. But I'll do that now.
Where the lights kind of shoot up like this and they meet the darkness, right where the darkness is and the light is, going across
From left to right.
Left to right.
Fucking A, I knew it.
I'm going to tell you what I saw.
Please.
Now, none of y'all have to believe me. Okay?
Okay, he's being kind. I'm going to say right now, if you are watching this, you have to fucking believe Big Steve. No doubters allowed.
You don't have to believe Big Steve on this.
You do.
You absolutely
because
do.
One, it was very, very quick. To where I've even questioned myself at times, did I really see this? But from the left to the right, going in that direction,
across,
further out into the desert, towards the Pecos River, I saw what looked to be, to me, was a creature flying in the air with bat wings, flapping them. It would have had, its body would have been about 5 to 6 feet long.
That's like nothing. That is minuscule compared to Big Steve. He's a big man.
This is true. Okay. Everything has gone haywire. All of a sudden my remote that I used to cue everything up, all of a sudden that's not working, and that's kind of bad. Let me see if I can. Okay, I unplugged it. Can I plug it back in and get it to work? Oh, yeah. Ooh, nice. See, I tried that like 3 times while we were watching the Big Steve. That's why I went eerily silent and very focused. And, gosh, everything is a mess tonight. I saw on my monitor that I had a big hole in my setup, and I realized I never put up my mask. I keep forgetting to do that. That's not good. What is the... Yes, Soy Trees in the chat says she believes. And I believe Big Steve too. I love that video. I am very curious. I wonder what this cryptid bat person... Oh, I wonder what the story was. I hope the bat person is alright. Okay, I have written down here cracker ass, and I'm pretty sure that is in reference to, we found out last week that Hillbilly is still caught by the auto censor in the chat, but if anybody ever wants to say cracker ass, we have full permission to do that. It's encouraged, in fact. So there is that. Okay. What is this? Oh, okay. This is strange. I had sometimes I write down things on these index cards, and then I can't remember what my intent was behind them. And there was something I had written down on a card last week, and it just said penny loafers. And I'm pretty sure I was going to talk about how penny loafers need to come back, and maybe we could do quarter loafers and things like this. And then they were talking about getting rid of the penny this week, so I felt like I had to circle back and make sure that I did mention penny loafers. We need them, and I needed to say that before the pennies are outlawed or whatever the fuck they're planning to do. I don't know. I get it. I don't know if you do. Okay. I do have... This is a strange episode. I do have a comic to get to, and this is BC. I believe this is 1983. My preparation wasn't great for this episode. Let's see. Yeah, looks like 1983 to me. BC. This is on this day in 1983. What are you doing? This is the first caveman, I suppose. And the second one says, waiting for this flower to fold up. All right, waiting for the flower to fold up. I'm not familiar with that term. Fold up, is that, I don't know. Maybe Caveman News needs a plant expert on staff, somebody to give us the plant input. Let's see about panel 2. How long will that take? So, this is in reference to waiting for the plant to fold up. And this is the final panel, and it says, not long, he just drew an inside straight. So, I'm confused about that one. Well, I have a clock. I thought maybe somebody would be on here to co-host the show with me, but things fell through, and I had this clock so that I could time somebody who would be explaining what that comic means. But oh wait, is the comic button not even working, or the countdown button? Okay then, well, whatever. I'm not gonna have to explain what that comic means because I really can't. He says waiting for the plant to fold. Soy Teresa says, what the fuck? I'm not exactly sure what that's in reference to. Maybe it's to this great comic. Okay, so he's waiting for the flower to fold up, and the flower just drew an inside straight. And I'm not sure why you would fold on an inside straight, because in every version of poker I've ever played, that's a good thing. You actually want that. I don't know. Whatever. You get it. We all get it. Okay, I see you there. Okay, now let's go to this button. Okay. I think... Oh, yeah. I also just wanted to say before we get into the main part of the show, did you guys hear about that earthquake in Carlsbad on Valentine's Day? A 5.0 earthquake, they're saying. The first thing I thought about was Soy Teresa felt it. I don't know. I must have been in a hammock or something. I didn't feel it when it happened, but it made me think of that Project Gnome that we've discussed when they set off a nuke underground, and they said that, oh, it's, the radiation's going to dissipate quick, but then, decades later they went down there and it was still radioactive there underground. And I just imagine an earthquake opening the radioactive fissure or something like that. I mean, that's what I picture. But I and the people that I know here in Carlsbad survived it, so I'm happy. And yeah, I think that's all I wanted to say about the earthquake. I guess I have one more thing on this index card to get to before we discuss Buffalo Soldiers, and that is, I went to Blue Sky, which I admit, I go to Blue Sky, and I searched for Carlsbad, and I of course searched by latest, but then I said, hey, let's see what they think the top Blue Sky post about Carlsbad is. And it was, hang on, let me think of the wording. The person said, I can't remember. It was something about my early dating life was very dark. I did blind dating in the Carlsbad Caverns. I think it was something like that. I'm sorry. I thought no need to write it down. I'll absolutely remember this great joke, but turns out I didn't. But I did write down the name of the author. That was by Weeder. Weeder.bluesky, So, hey, thanks, Weeder, for that one. Oh, okay. I actually do have, really quick, I forgot that I had this ready to go. This is from Robert E. Howard, the creator of Conan the Barbarian. This is his letter to H.P. Lovecraft in 1935. I'm just going to read the first 6 sentences. Dear HPL, that's H.P. Lovecraft. Thanks very much for the fine postcard views from your trip. I'm glad you are... I can't wait to see what he is. Having such an enjoyable sojourn. Glad, too, that the views I sent of New Mexico proved of interest. Regarding the question of chivalry, I'm sorry if I misunderstood your attitude when I have used this term. It has been simply to indicate the ordinary consideration that the weak of whatever age or sex are accorded by the stronger. I was not referring to the fantastic, exaggerated customs and habits of the so-called age of chivalry. It is to the unnecessary violation of this principle that I object. So there it is, the first 6 letters of the letter, the first 6 sentences of Robert E. Howard's letter to H.P. Lovecraft in 1935. And as a little, if your appetite is not sated, I did write down the next sentence. This will be for a future, this is a teaser, get you excited for the continuation of this letter. The next sentence is, you say that I use the term sadism only metaphorically. So, absolutely, I am intrigued. I want to see where this letter is going. It's of great interest to me. But let's talk about Buffalo Soldiers. This is what we're all here for today. Okay, there's the button. Now, I really did not know anything about Buffalo Soldiers. I didn't know who they were. I didn't know anything. I just knew You know the song. I'm sure there are many like me who don't know anything. And I'm hoping that I've planned things out and these first buttons explain who they were. Okay, hold on. I gotta get close. This is 1998. Carlsbad. The Pecos River Conference Center and Carlsbad Museum and Fine Arts Center will be buzzing with speakers, lecturers, guest performers, education shows, related art exhibits, and living history reenactors at the African American Military Experience Symposium set for April 24th. So, that unfortunately did not explain who they were. I should get that out of the way. Actually, what I should do is I should pay proper respect and take off my boots. Boots off for Barrett because that's what we do on the main part of the show. Oh. Golly. Okay. Yes. For the uninitiated, boots off for Barrett. Barrett was the first man executed here in Carlsbad, and he didn't want to die with his boots on, so he had his boots taken off and he threw them into the crowd and everything. And actually, I always forget to ask people to call in. Here's our lovely phone number, and I do have... I know I have it, because I saw me put it. Here we go.
575-689-2606.
Okay. There's that. And I should do that. Okay. Now come back here. Okay. So, the Buffalo Soldiers were a lot of them were made up by freed black slaves, but they were members of the U.S. military and in all black units. They were the 9th and 10th Cavalry and 2 infantry groups. I don't know my military phraseology and stuff, but the Buffalo Soldiers were a group of black soldiers who were fighting in the Southwest here in the late 1800s, after Civil War. Golly, I am a mush mouth and a mush brain, and I am tripping over things tonight and knocking things over. It's a real sight to see, to behold. And there's a great illustration. I love this drawing. This is one of the Buffalo Soldiers. This was printed in 1970. I love it. It's beautiful. Okay, this is in the Carlsbad Current-Argus in 2003. This is like an infographic type thing, but I thought it was interesting. Lost in the Shuffle. The Buffalo Soldiers of the 10th Cavalry were the first to reach the top of San Juan Hill during the famous Battle of San Juan Hill in Cuba. During this battle, the soldiers of the 10th fought alongside Teddy Roosevelt's Rough Riders, but received almost no credit for their participation. Buffalo Soldiers explored and mapped large areas of the American Southwest. They also strung hundreds of kilometers of telegraph wires. So that is a little intro to the types of things that the Buffalo Soldiers did, and I think that's also very telling. It's very similar to last week's episode with the Blackdom, the town, and the great success that these black people had and did great things, and it's just one of those things that never gets talked about or acknowledged or anything. It's no good. I did that. Okay. All right. This one is. Oh, but I don't have the date on there. I cut it off. Ay ay ay. But this is by Valerie Cranston. It says Carlsbad. According to American Indian legend, the dark-skinned, brown-eyed, curly-haired soldiers who fought in the Indian Wars during the late 1800s were buffalo reincarnated. So it was the Indians who gave the Buffalo Soldiers that name, and they adopted it with pride, said Texas Park and Wildlife Ranger D. Dowd. He said the all black 10th Cavalry even incorporated a buffalo symbol into their coat of arms. I love that name, D. Dowd. That's beautiful. And I do have the coat of arms. Why am I not showing that? It's kind of ridiculous that I'm not. Let's see. I know it's one of these buttons. Is it this one? It is. There it is. There's the, what does it say? Ready and forward. That's very cool. I do like the buffalo patch. It's nice. Where are we at? Are we at here? We did that. Okay. Today, a group known as the Texas Buffalo Soldiers keep the legend alive through outdoor educational programs and encampments celebrating the multicultural Western heritage of the region. So, those are some Texas people, but the Buffalo Soldiers have big southeastern New Mexico tie. Trust me, we're not gonna just talk about Texas stuff. That's ridiculous. Dressed in authentic cavalry uniforms, the present-day Buffalo Soldiers hosted their first encampment in the area. Wait, I read that, didn't I? Ay, ay, ay. Ay, ay, ay. Okay, I got two in a row of the same thing. That's what happened. One of the skirmishes may have taken place at the mouth of McKittrick Canyon in the Guadalupes, where a recent excavation uncovered unspent shells, a powder flask, and pant rivets believed to have belonged to the Buffalo Soldiers. That rules. I would love to find some old pant rivets. That would be a very exciting archaeological find, I think. Their spirits ride on the wind, patiently awaiting the long overdue recognition that they deserve in the annals of American history, said Lynn Chelewski, Buildings and Utilities Foreman of the Guadalupe Mountains National Park. So, beautiful. I would love to go and excavate and search for the Buffalo Soldiers, the things they left behind. I was reading about the history of the Buffalo Soldiers in the Guadalupes right up until starting this show, really. And one of the things I was just reading and didn't have time to fully get into was the types of things that were found in the... They had a couple of different campsites and like bases, that type of things in McKittrick Canyon and the Guadalupes and stuff. And the Buffalo Soldiers would stay there, and then they would leave for the winter and go to another place, where it's not deathly cold. And while they were gone, the Apache that they were fighting ostensibly, they would come in and stay in the same places. And then when the Apache would leave, the Buffalo Soldiers came back. So they were inhabiting the same type of place, and the things they found, they were taking the nails that they would hammer for the horseshoes and stuff like that, and they would bend them into fish hooks and all sorts of stuff. I mean, it is pretty fascinating. I can't remember what I was getting on with that, but I did. Here we go. Okay, this is 2006. Students work to uncover the history of buffalo soldiers, Apaches, and Guadalupe Mountains National Park. And that's what I'm saying. It would be so sick to be able to do the archaeological work, the finding things and unlocking the mysteries. I would enjoy it. It'd be nice. Students in Eleanor King's anthropology class at Howard University in Washington, D.C. were grateful for the opportunity to head to the Guadalupe Mountains National Park to participate in an archaeology project that documents the life of the Buffalo Soldiers in the Guadalupe Mountains in the 1800s. Now, here's another thing I was just thinking about as I read these things. So the Buffalo Soldiers were involved in their skirmishes with the Apaches, and there was a lot of, I was reading them scouting out where different water sources were out in the desert, because they knew that that's where the Apache would need to, I mean, everybody has to get water, so those were important areas for them to track down and scout out and keep an eye on. It was very interesting, but I started thinking Jim White, the founder, they say, of the Carlsbad Caverns, he stumbled upon the cave in the late 1800s. I'm pretty sure maybe early 1900s, actually. So I wonder, with the Buffalo Soldiers out in that area, one of the places they stayed was Pine Springs, which is in actually Carlsbad Caverns National Park. But I wonder if they came across the caverns, the opening. I don't know. That's interesting to think about to me. What it would be like for them to have no idea and to come across this great expanse. You get it. I mean, who doesn't wonder? In June of 1866, an act of Congress authorized the creation of 6 regiments of black soldiers, 2 cavalry, and 4 infantry. The 2 cavalries would later go down in history as the Buffalo Soldiers. And we knew that. I don't know why I put that in there, because we've been talking about Buffalo Soldiers for, it feels like, a few hours now, and I think we know everything there is to know now, so that's really dumbing it down and didn't need to be at this point in the lecture. Now, 140 years later, a group of students from the predominantly black Howard University and several American Indian high school students from the Mescalero Reservation near Ruidoso are participating in the Buffalo Soldiers Project for the 3rd year under the direction of King and a handful of staff. It's beautiful. The students are working to document the Buffalo Soldiers Camp, which was also used by the Apaches when the soldiers were gone on patrol for several months, or had been recalled to their headquarters at Fort Davis. Okay, that's what I was talking about. They shared common campsites, campgrounds, the shared area. That's very interesting. As I was reading just before the show started, they mentioned that there have been a few Buffalo Soldiers movies, but I didn't see that part in the article. I wonder what those were like. I'd be interested in hearing about those, because it is it's difficult to know exactly where to stand. I had the same type of thing when we talked about black colonizers and things like this the black soldiers being an arm of the U.S. military, which is, I believe, very corrupt and has done awful things. So it is weighing those two things, but an article I read, I think I was reading it on the National Parks Society webpage, and they were saying that it was very strange for these people that were just out of slavery to take work with the military and help to take away the freedoms from another group of people. And very strange to think about, but also at the same time, you have to consider that there weren't a lot of options, and that there were, I don't know, it's a very difficult subject to even wrap your brain around. And maybe this is not the place to do it. Usually this is a very funny show. It's very comical and lighthearted, and we have a great time, but let's just finish it. In the past 2 years, as well as this year, students participating in the project have found nails, bullet cartridges, uniform buttons, stone and metal tools, a box-like oven, a mess kit, rivets, and other small objects. And actually, you know what? I don't think I put it on here. I should have. This is a fault of mine, but I was reading in the last article I was reading, they talked about, I have it written down here. I remember I made an index card because I wanted to bring it up. I had never heard of hypocausts. 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 And they had a lot of those at the campsites where the Buffalo Soldiers stayed here in southeastern New Mexico. And what they were was a series of tubing that ran underground. It was only under a certain couple of tents. And one end of the pipe was in the campfire where they would do all their cooking and everything. So the pipe got hot, and it provided a kind of a heated floor to only the select few that got to stay over the hypocausts. I love that. It's very cool. And Soy Teresa says neither had she. She had never heard of that. And, well, now she has. This concludes the Buffalo Soldiers talk. I had no idea that there was... Well, I had no idea about Buffalo Soldiers and what they went through and what they did. And of course, I'm not surprised with the lack of recognition and accolades that are given to them. It's not surprising, but it is shitty. I do have one last button to hit, and this one is, as always, big fascination on this show is the outlaw city of Phoenix that was set up on the outskirts of Carlsbad in the late 1800s, and that was the town that was built by people trying to get around the liquor laws, and it was a town of outlaws and badasses and, wild women, things like this. So one thing I always like to do is to search Phoenix and then whatever the topic of the week is. Hoping that there's some connection between what we're talking about this week and Phoenix. But this was the only thing that I saw about Phoenix and Buffalo. And it's not about Buffalo Soldiers, but this is what came up. This is 1897. Phoenix doctors struggled all day recently with a stricken bricklayer trying to cool him off a little from a temperature of 109. He had been drinking. A man may possibly endure Phoenix heat or Phoenix whiskey, one at a time, but it won't do to monkey with a combination of the two. Beautiful words. I love that. Had to include it because that is tangentially related. It's the, well, yes, good article. I agree, Soy Teresa. I think this show is ready to end. Yes, okay. Let's close things out. Next week, we're going to be talking about the Fitzgerald family. I'm excited for that one. It'll be nice. Let's jam this one out. I hit the wrong thing. Gotta turn the amp so we can jam it out.
But I'm in the middle of the desert. Pitch black.
Dafu, fuck the view. If you're here next week, then I'll see you.